being sung by...
All right. Hello, everybody. I was listening to some Nat King Cole of his. Yeah. That was going to be for another night. But, it's just setting the mood over here. It is the 2nd of December, Monday, the first Monday of December 2024. It's so good to have you here. And things are feeling good. Just checking things off. A lot of things getting done. Oh, did you see that beautiful newsletter today? We'll be getting around to that as well. The link is all over the place. It's even pinned in the chat and in YouTube. I put it out in the YouTube community section. It's on the Gilded, it's on the Discord, it's on Patreon, Subscribestar. I got mailed out. It's been tweeted a couple times. It's on Truth, it's on Gab, it's on GETTR. Go out and read the newsletter. It is fantastic. We'll thumb through that in a little bit, but welcome to the show. 7 p.m. on the East Coast over here, and we are back to the Christmas cafe music. I just love this time of year. I really do. And it's going to be going by in a flash, so we're going to hold on to dear life. We'll do a little bit of news. Tonight we have some big stories from over the weekend and some big stories just from yesterday alone. And got a couple of guests stopping by. I have two gentlemen that I've been working with the last couple of months on something. A personal, something, when it comes to home defense and everything else, you really got to think bigger these days. It's not just about cameras, and it's not just about, being armed, and it's not just about, it's also cybersecurity and everything else. And it's not just about VPNs either. So, what pops up on just random Google searches is frightening sometimes. It really is. So I want to talk to a couple of friends of mine from a little company called Patriot Protect. That'll be at the tail end of the first hour, just for a few minutes, because they've done some really great work for me, and I just want to put a little spotlight on them before the intermission. And then at 8:20 p.m. we have our good friend KrisAnne Hall coming back, who I really want to ask some questions. First of all, number one, she was featured in this month's newsletter, a really great holiday piece, which is actually going to become a part 1 of 2. This is just about enjoying the holidays and, embracing the goodness and the worship aspect and everything. And then part 2 is going to be about regrouping for the new year in January, and focusing on things that we all need to do as patriotic Americans in restoring any kind of constitutional function, at the very least on a local level, because there is plenty of power to be reclaimed on a local level that nullifies a lot of this very illegal overreach. And again, that is the best thing that we can all do for ourselves, because we're going to have to take this thing one pitch at a time. There's going to be plenty to shake our heads at already with these nominations. There's plenty to just shake your damn head. So let's just take it one pitch at a time and call balls and strikes as we must, because there's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be confusing, but we've already been through the lowest of lows, and we've kind of just drifted on through and concentrated on the good things and found a way to have a laugh. But I hope that your Thanksgiving was a good one. After the passing of this weekend, the Thanksgiving phase of everything is now over, because, I know some of you have second Thanksgivings and Friendsgivings and all that. We did on Saturday. So you get a little bit of grace period. Now it's all Christmas. It's all Christmas. So that's what we have. All right. So that's it. We'll get to the news as we go along to it. I got a really interesting meeting tomorrow. I can't wait to tell you about. Also, because it's Cyber Monday, so many things are happening on the affiliates page. I know that there's deals with so many of our affiliates, from the chocolate to everything else. I know the merchandise. There's a Black Friday sale that goes into Cyber Monday. There's the Black 15 for 15% off of everything. And then 20% off of orders over $100 is Black 20. I'm putting up it on screen so you can go and use that. That's through our merchandise. There's a lot. Also on the coffee, I think you get 33% off today. 33% off. Very scary Masonic number. Very scary. And then there's I don't know, there's more, but we'll get to that later on. All right. So after tonight, I have a couple of really interesting topics I want to do with you this week. I know Bob Motta's coming on tomorrow. Defense Diaries. We'll have a little bit of true crime. Robin McCutcheon's coming on soon. And then there's just a lot of open free spaces this holiday season I wanted to do. Definitely wanted to bring on Jay Dyer to do a debunking of the Mithras storyline, the origins of Christmas and all that stuff. I want to do all of that. That's something I like jumping into. But there's more, as I said, and we'll get around to it in due time. Okay, so first things first, here is a headline for you from the New York Post. Daniel Penny in New York City is going, it's a trial, not for his life, but listen, you know what? Even if it's manslaughter, a few years out of your life, it's everything. It's already been a life-altering situation with him acting 100% responsibly on that subway car with the crazed vagrant. Let's see, where the hell we at? Who would you want on the train with you? Defense lawyers make final plea to jurors, saying Daniel Penny acted when others didn't in closing statements. Daniel Penny acted to save subway riders from a desperate Jordan Neely. His lawyer argued on Monday, asking jurors in the Lightning Rod Manhattan trial, who would you want on the train with you? Danny acted when others didn't, defense attorney Steve Razor said during his closing statement in Manhattan Supreme Court. He put his life on the line. He did that for perfect strangers, he said of Penny, 26, who was charged with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide over the fatal May 2023 encounter. Razor invited jurors to imagine how they would have felt if they had been on the F train car when Neely, a 30-year-old homeless man with a history of mental illness and drug abuse, threatened strap hangers before Penny put him in a chokehold. Well, I mean, a lot of scared, cowering people. And not that we are naturally scared, cowering people. It's just that there is so much risk. There's so much risk, aside from the fact that you just don't know what people are going to do, especially crazy people, what they're going to pull out and how they're going to use it. But it's also just about if you have an opportunity to diffuse a situation, and sometimes use force to diffuse a situation, the law is very rarely going to be on your side, especially when mixed race is involved, okay? We all know what the hell's going on there, and we know the modus operandi of most things that go on in the judicial system, especially here in New York. But you know what? From what I followed from this story from the get-go, and how the defense has presented itself, as long as there's no bias in that jury, it should be a no guilty. It should be a not guilty verdict. I'm praying for him because it's just nuts. The little things you just hope for at this time around. Now, here's a little big thing, and I want to know what you think about this. And I'm going to save this in particular for our discussion with Robin McCutcheon. Okay, this is from Donald Trump, and it's about BRICS. This was on the 30th of November. The idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty U.S. dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful U.S. economy. They can go back to finding another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the U.S. dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. I have to say I don't like this at all. I don't, especially the approach. BRICS is just what's going on. And I think the administration should come at this issue in particular by understanding exactly why other nations in the world found it necessary to not have all of their eggs in our psychotic basket over here. Okay, so there's no guarantees what we're bound to achieve. Okay, what we're about to do, whether it's going to be positive for the world, whether it's going to be lasting change or anything like that. But why start strong arming everyone because a single election was won? What the hell is how does 4 years of Donald Trump that we're all going to get now, how does that signal to the rest of the world that we're taking precaution in not hitching their wagons to the psychotic leaders of the West over here? I just don't understand this at all. And I don't see it as a good move at all. It's like taken as suckers. No, the rest of the world was being taken advantage of. And to acknowledge, I don't know. It's almost like you're not acknowledging. It's not almost like you're not acknowledging the reasons why there's even BRICS countries at this point. So I don't understand that move at all. And if you want to be able to go out there and strengthen the dollar, and you want to pay down the debt, and you want to really lean things out, and you want to represent, you want to present the dollar as a viable option for the rest of the world on the trade, and you want to just make it stronger than ever, then at least that's fine. I mean, you represent the United States. Why would you not want the dollar to win everything? But the approach makes no sense. I think this is the most responsible thing that other countries around the world, seeing how we are being run here, could do to kind of like hedge against any kind of collapse. That seems to be intentional, by the way. I mean, every time we sanction somebody, it falls back on us. We're out of our minds. Our culture is collapsing. I think it's very smart for everybody to get into BRICS. Because if things go well, maybe they come back. But when is that? I think that you don't have a chance of seeing anybody reconsider. Who knows? I just think that anybody who's cast their lot with BRICS is not going to change their mind anytime before Donald Trump leaves office, and you see how permanent whatever is about to happen right now is going to be. That is, if the changes are positive. So I didn't understand this at all. Maybe you guys have something on it. You can say it's gamesmanship, anything like that, but it seems too aggressive for something that I think other countries are doing out of pure pragmatism. So we'll see what Robin McCutcheon has to say about that. And here's another one for you. Chunk Hunger from the Young Turks. He had this to say on the 29th. He said, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election, even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now, MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. This is okay. Anyway, it's not just the establishment candidate lost, it's that their media is mortally wounded. The source of their strength was not insipid politicians like Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden. The source of their strength was their propaganda machine, the mainstream media. Now, online media is strong enough that their oppressive monopoly on the American mind has been broken. Now we're in the jungle. They hate that. I love it. The uncontrolled marketplace of ideas is where I'm home. I'd rather be in the populist woods than the establishment prison. Now, that's all in fine, and it's it's a diagnosis I think we made before Donald Trump even showed up. At least on shows like this we were. But again, like Chris Cuomo, like everybody else out there, is this real or just a desperate rebrand? I'm certainly not going to be watching the Young Turks anytime soon, that's for sure. But these little public appeals, what do you think about them? You can call in on that. I want to take some calls in the first half. Let's do that. right after this. Thank you, everybody. We will be right back. And share the show, whether you're watching it live or on demand. Bring somebody in who hasn't seen it before. We got some great guests coming on tonight, and I'll be right back.
And how you doing, little partner?
Walker told me I had AIDS.
Well, pardon my French, but I'll be damned.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's
That's right. Coffee's on, everybody. The coffee has been put on. Go ahead and grab yourself a cup. Whatever the hell you want. Maybe you just want to drink some hot water with a squeeze of lemon. Fine. Do it up. Okay, so welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. This is Quite Frankly. This is the real show. That was the pre-show. If you want to contribute your thoughts, your opinions, shout out, you want to tell a joke to the show, send it to quitefranklysuperchat.com, and I will be answering them throughout the broadcast. Also, the Rumble Rants and the Gold Pills, they will make the cut as well. Hey, you remember we were doing this Be Your Own Shaman book, the field guide that our good friend Jane Barlow put together? Well, her new book arrived the other day, the one with the chapter on psychedelics and everything. So I'm going to be giving this away. As promised, I'll write a little something inside of it, and I will send it to somebody. I will write it and thank you on behalf of Jane as well. So we'll be doing that. I don't know. I'm going to be giving that away. I got another deck of cards to give away. I got some silver. I've got a gold back I'm going to give away. I just want to give you guys and gals stuff because it's been forcing you to call in, which is fun. We can also do a super chat rally at some point too, or raffle as we've done in the past. But I do have this for you before we get into the Hunter Biden news, because that is the big one right now. And then we have to talk about Tom Homan and the border operation. Also, Cash Patel. I want to take your calls. I want to get to the second half. I got a lot of relevant questions on those topics for KrisAnne Hall. But take a look at this. You remember the whole idea of, quite frankly, we're talking about the coins. Hey, do a quite frankly coin. I said, yeah, it'd be a wooden nickel. Well, we made a wooden nickel. We made a wooden nickel. Okay, a friend of the show reached out, said, I can make this happen. And he sent me a prototype. I said, how long would it take you to make 100 of these? And he did them in a jiffy. And I paid him a commission. And I said, now for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year, throughout December, if you become a monthly sponsor on Patreon, Subscribestar, the website, whatever it is, at any level, if you just become a sponsor, go into the new year as a sponsor, among all the other things that we'll send you in the mail, I will send you this wooden thing. So it's a wooden nickel. It's been burned in, and that's it. I only made 100. So first come, first serve. Just become a sponsor anywhere that is listed on the Sponsor Us tab on quitefrankly.tv. And if it's Patreon or Subscribestar, I'll see you, and I'll reach out to you, say, hey, what's up? Welcome. Give me your address. I'll send you some stuff, including your nickel. And if it's quitefrankly.tv, whenever you get your welcome email, respond to it and say, hey, I would love your nickel to come to this address. You got it, bro or sister. So that's what we did. Just a little something. And I'll find some other ways to incentivize you guys, because the wind is at our backs. We've been putting so much time. It's almost going to be 20 years that this show has been alive in one form or another. And now we really got the wind at our backs culturally, new media. Get in on it for 2025, because I'm certainly going to be busting ass over here. Okay. All right. So here we have it. Here is the opening, that I wanted to do for you, and this is the executive grant of clemency. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., President of the United States of America. Have you heard about this? To all whom these presents shall come, greeting. Be it known that this day I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden a full and unconditional pardon. Now listen to this. For those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all the offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss in docket number blah, 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 in the United States District Court, Central District of California. In testimony thereof, I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice. Done at the city of Washington this first day of December in the year of our Lord, 2024, and of the independence of the United States, the 249th. Wow. Now, it's one thing to say, gun charge be gone, but, and I don't think anybody would have really been that surprised because they're unscrupulous. But when everybody really zeroed in on January 1st, 2014, I mean, what the hell do you want? What the hell do you want? Now, we'll put some things together for you over here. And first, I guess we should just go to this is a statement from Joe Biden on the actual pardon itself. Now, who this was written by, I don't know. Obviously not him. Today, I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Department of Justice's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are most never brought into trial on felony charges solely for how they fill out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in this case came about only several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me, oppose my election, and then carefully negotiated a plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice, unraveled in the courtroom with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. So he goes on to say, no reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's case can reach any other conclusion that Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks, and I bet you any money he's nowhere near 5 months sober. But that's it. I would bet quite frankly, wooden nickel. Even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution and trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me. And there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. He goes on for a little bit more, but who cares? Now, of course, he didn't write this. This is the speechwriting equivalent of calling in Winston the Wolf from Pulp Fiction. You know, got to clean things up. I wonder if Susan Rice wrote this, to be honest. You remember that day of the inauguration? It was the day of the inauguration, 2017. And one of the last things that Susan Rice did prior to Donald Trump swearing, like minutes before Donald Trump swore the oath. Before he took the oath, she wrote herself an email and had to just because she had to memorialize a meeting that she and Obama had with James Comey and everything else, where she had to stress that Obama looked at Comey and said, all right, now do this Russia stuff by the book, okay? Do it by the book. Do it by the book. And then, of course, what was like a wink and a nod? Like, whose ass was she covering on that end? And this is all dramatics as well, too, because, and we'll get around to it, Hunter Biden means nothing. Whatever time he would have spent in jail, whatever he would have had to done because of the gun charges or whatever, the most serious stuff has been completely overlooked. And they want to make sure it stays that way. Because in that respect, it really doesn't even have much to do with Joe Biden. If they can isolate all the damage of what was going on in Ukraine, okay? This is Ukraine, China, wherever the hell they were active as a family, just working their little twig on their little branch of the bigger network that is the shadow economy of people selling influence through the power that can be wielded inside of our government. If they can isolate this to just the really pathetic Biden wing of the network and just sink them and let everything else stay, they would have been gone a long time ago. There's just no way to isolate this. No way to isolate this. This is a very polite way of killing a witness by making them immune to prosecution. Okay, in the first place. This is how the United States government, in a very polite way, kills a witness that the mafia would just take out, put the cement shoes on, and dump them in the river. So it's just it's incredible, an incredible time frame, and those who know. Those who know, they know. Everybody else is just full of shit, just bubbling over with shit. Let's take a look at this for a little bit. We got 15 minutes or so before we're going to bring on our spot in the first half. And here you go. This is from Zero Hedge. Corrupt to the core. Democrats in disarray over Hunter pardon as rule of law narratives absolutely implode. Oh, yes. That rule of law stuff is all out the window. All to that. Absolute chaos has broken out on the left following Joe Biden's blanket pardon of his son, which spans the period right before Hunter joined the board of Ukrainian energy giant Burisma for $1 million a year through yesterday evening. Oh, I just keep going back to that Pantera song, Drag the Waters. The lyrics drag the waters. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the Bidens. It's the Bidens. A smack on the wrist is the words from the mouth of the outsiders, lawyers, police. A small price to pay for the dope and the guns and the rape. It should all be okay. Your father is rich. He's the judge. He's the man. He's the God that got your sentence reduced. But in the back of his mind, he well knows what he'd find if he'd look a little deeper in you. It's drag the waters. That's the Biden family theme. It was also revealed that months of denying this would happen were pure lies, especially from Karine Jean-Pierre. Let's see here. In short, it couldn't be any more obvious that Hunter was simply the Biden family bagman, as ex-user The Real Zeno notes. And this is what he said. In 2013 to 2014, the United States orchestrated a violent coup that toppled Ukraine's democratically elected government, in which it led to the ousting of President Yanukovych. And then the events afterwards followed in this order. April 16th, 2014, Vice President Biden meets with Devon Archer at the White House. On April 21st, Biden visits Ukraine and becomes U.S. policy face. On April 22nd, Archer joins Burisma's board. April 28th, British officials seize $23 million from Burisma's owner. On May 12th of that year, the 2014, Hunter Biden joins Burisma's board, and both were paid millions. Now, in 2019, an investigation revealed that the Obama administration knew Hunter Biden's position on Burisma's board was problematic and interfered with U.S. policy in Ukraine. The investigation also uncovered approved transactions involving the Obama administration, which allowed a Chinese government-owned company and an investment firm with Chinese ties to acquired Henniges, a U.S. military technology firm, Bohai Harvest RST, linked to Hunter Biden and Chris Hines. This is barely the tip of the iceberg. Stephen Miller says it's absolutely staggering, the millions in taxpayer dollars sent to Ukraine because of the Biden family's personal money laundering loyalty over his crackhead son. Now, this is huge. I mean, and again, the tip of the iceberg comment, 100%. And we've heard it's not even just emails. It's even just voice recordings of Hunter talking about, his anxiety, brimming over the edge because some of his contacts are like top spy chiefs in China that have gone dark and they don't know where their contacts are and this and that. It's just so obvious to all who can allow themselves to be honest people for a moment. For a moment. Like I see these retards like JoJo from Jers on Twitter who will say, just completely abandon all nuance on the subject and just said, yeah, that's right, MAGA-tards. He pardoned his son. Now go suck on it. I'm like, okay. All right. It's like these are the people who tell you that something has got to be investigated about 2024, where the Democrats just cease to be an 81 million person voting force that honestly could never be overcome. Maybe there'd be, if that was real, maybe there would be ways for Republicans to still win in the Electoral College until Democrats find ways of just dispersing themselves into red states and shifting things around and stealing a couple over the course of a decade or so. But it's just nuts. It's nuts to see how 2024 proved that 2020 was just rife with the worst kind of crimes. Because it's not just about stealing elections. Okay, there's been election fraud from the moment that elections were invented. But to that level, how it was mechanized in that way was atrocious. But it's an act of war. It's an absolute act of war. No doubt about it. So 2024 proves 2020 was as egregious an operation as we've been saying it was. And this proves so much more too. The second that January 1st, 2014 shows up on that pardon, gone. It's done. It's over. We know everything now. Everything, as if we didn't know before. Right down to the reason why, as I've been saying for a while too, the reason why Joe Biden was the preeminent, nominee for the 2020 election, when there was no reason to run him, but they were going to force him in, and they were going to blockade anybody from digging back around into Ukraine. And then, this is so huge. This is impeachment one. It's everything. It's everything. Now, what happens from there? It beats me. And back to the article, while the right is saying, I told you so, assholes, the left and never Trump conservatives alike are having an internal meltdown over Hunter's pardon. Many are opining that this sets a devastating precedent in that Trump can essentially pardon anyone he wants. Others are defending the pardon, suggesting that the incoming Trump administration would go after Hunter. You mean, obviously, for the family corruption, just like he was poking into Ukraine, seeing where money was going on out there, trying to just open up the ledger in 2019. And that was so viciously opposed that they managed to turn it into an impeachment campaign. That brought us right into 2020, and then we got walloped with it. Contagion. It's just incredible. It's incredible theater. It really is. Former Obama AG Eric Holder defended the pardon, suggesting that Hunter didn't really do anything at all that bad, and Mike Cernovich with a killer response. Eric Holder says, here's the reality. No U.S. attorney would have charged this case given the underlying facts. Cernovich says, Hunter Biden is a lawyer. He used his advanced education to create shell corporations to evade reporting requirements to the IRS. That's a sentencing enhancement. Official reports show that he'd do 5 to 10 years. I have the receipts. And that tried to break me line. Joe Biden tried to break me. These two were partners. They were partners, okay? Selling influence, monetizing war zones. It's nothing new, of course, as we've said before, but because they're not nearly the biggest fish in the business, which is the real reason why all this is being torn out at the root, neutralized in the most obvious way. Just got to say, hey, I did what I did. I did it, and walk away from it. Everybody knows, but you already did it. So, but don't go on the For You tab on Twitter. Don't do it, or anywhere that these shit libs are getting together, because it's just one irredeemable cretin after another saying this was an incredibly brave and based thing to do. And any father would do the same. First of all, if I had a son with gun charges, a crack problem, I'd let him sweat it out in jail. Probably some of the best things that a person can do along the way of the recovery over there. But that report by Marco Polo, the Marco Polo report that's out there that we saw getting gradually compiled over the course of 4 years. The Marco Polo report found direct evidence of what could be argued hundreds of crimes that ran the gamut from sex, drugs, business crimes, and sure, Hunter is most definitely the product of sexual abuse, but his father is a business partner as well. A business partner, okay? And as far as immunity goes, I mean, you remember when Hillary Clinton and her staffers, it was mostly her staffers, select staffers were being granted immunity by the feds during the course of her espionage investigation in 2016. This is all about insulation. This isn't some weepy Hallmark moment between a doting father and his troubled son. But so many leftists are just lost in the wilderness at this point. They have to be, because this leads to everything that we've been saying on another level in Ukraine, as far as the business that's being conducted out there, as far as the military presence out there, the Azov battalion, and how, it's just night and day reporting from the mainstream media on the Nazi contingent out there, and what really is, what the real, lineup is from the characters that we're being made to study at this point. That's all secondary. That's all secondary now. Just so nuts. But I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. There was a really interesting moment over here. What was this? I think this was today. I think Joe Biden. No, this was from May of this year. No one is above the law, Joe Biden said. Elon Musk then went and retweeted it because it got community noted. The community note was really great. The community note says, by pardoning his son Hunter, not merely for a single crime, but for all actual or potential crimes he may or may not have created over an 11-year period, Joe Biden has made it clear that some people are, in fact, above the law. So you're going to have to contend with that, but the people you're contending with just don't have any minds left anymore. So let's take some calls. 914-200-0269. It's just whatever at this point. That was the big headlines from yesterday. There's more, though, that we'll do in the second half. But I want to take a few of your calls before we go to our guest in about 10 minutes or so, 7 minutes or so. What the hell do you think is going on out there? 914-200-0269. And where does it go from here? Obviously, if this has just been washed away, is there another way that you can approach it? Because this goes to the Romneys. This is the Romneys. This is the Pelosi's. This is the McCains. This is not just one party. This is so many organizations, so many facets of the uniparty. 612, you're on the air. What do you got for us?
A few things. I was thinking about that first bit with Trump and his aggressive tweet, or whatever that was,
yes,
on Truth Social about the dollar and versus BRICS. And I thought, I agree with your assessment, Frank, but I also think maybe there's a level of aggression that's necessary to get these stubborn a-holes back in order. But maybe we just don't see that part.
But who would be the stubborn a-hole? Because I see countries that are warming up to the alternative currency that in the far more stable BRICS idea as just being pragmatic and seeing how we're being run into the ground. Now, I think that if Donald Trump does a good job in kind of reviving us and sets us on a path where it's going to be harder to derail us over a longer period of time, I think most people are going to want to, get in with the United States again because economically, who can compete?
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I guess my only point would just be like maybe there's a level of aggression he feels is necessary publicly that we just don't understand the dynamics with these individual people behind the scenes, right? Because to answer your question, the a-holes I'm referring to are just the leaders of other countries and maybe not even presidents or prime ministers, but they're de facto central banking cabal families or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And then when it comes to the last thing you were talking about with Hunter Biden, which is just, hot trash fire for real. How can you just get somebody off the hook for crimes they may or may not have committed? But anyway, I wonder sometimes if these are what we're seeing out front that are really behind the scenes deals, like you were talking about Matt Gaetz the other day, what really was happening behind the scenes. And I think sometimes there's these behind closed doors negotiations happening okay, you guys are going to install Kash Patel as FBI director and I won't stand in your way of, letting Hunter Biden get away with murder and treason and da-da-da. It's not a great example, but what I'm trying to point to is
I get what you're saying.
I wonder how much negotiating is happening behind closed doors and we're just seeing the fruit of it.
Oh, plenty. I did plenty. And I know that we're always coming from a starting position of ignorance. We just don't.
Yeah.
So, and you make great points about all the different factors that may go into, coming at BRICS nations with such aggression. Only, me with what limited understanding of the playing field I have, I say to myself, why would you come aggressively at people who have just simply tried to make sure that they have a stable financial path forward because they've already been dealt with aggressively by our psychotic overlords over here. So it makes with what information I have, it makes no sense.
Yeah. A sure point. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Agreed. Well, thanks, Frank.
This was a wonderful call. And what's your name again?
This is Carly Tebbs.
Oh, Carly. Well, see, it doesn't pop up as Carly. It pops as private caller. Good for you for your privacy.
All right. Cheers. Thanks.
Have a good one. Take care. There's Carly, everybody. Let's see. We got a call from the mystery ship. What's going on, Zoso?
How you doing, brother?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it kind of interesting? I mean, unless Biden comes out with a whole bunch of blanket pardons before he ankles out the door, pardoning Hunter all the way back to 2014, that's a long period of time. Now Hunter can't plead the fifth if he gets hauled in to testify against Obama or Hillary, or he hasn't had anything. He can't plead the fifth.
Is that the rule?
I think that's how it goes, man.
But how do you?
He's got off scot-free. What's he got to hide? He's got no reason to take the fifth.
Yeah, but he still has plenty reason to take the fifth because the only reason why he's probably alive is because there is, there's a lot here. So
that might be a good question for KrisAnne.
Well, I'm going to ask her to Carly's point behind you, and then also what you're adding on right now. Where the hell does that kind of authority come from to pardon somebody for crimes they may or may not have committed? You would think that you have to get very specific about this stuff.
Why not just go forward and he's free from anything he does from here to 2030?
Why not?
I mean, come on.
There's nothing different about the two things.
No, there isn't. One specific crime that you've been charged for, I get it. But just to say, no, anything he might have done, here's your get out of jail free card.
That means murder. That means murder, by the way.
Dude, this is going to get good.
It's just nuts. I can't believe that we still have over a month before the inauguration.
Man, Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, he's got time to pardon more. Look for more of him coming down the line.
Yeah. All right.
I hope not.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, thank you so much, So. It's good to hear from you.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So Dude. Been talking to So Dude, and I think I'm confident enough to say it looks like we're going to be getting John Tesh on the show in December. So anyway, I'll let you know what night that happens. It's going to be a wonderful night in this show's history. I cannot wait for it. All right. You know what? With that, I want to take a really quick break, and I want to go and hang out with a couple of buddies of mine. Now, they should be coming on the show, coming on any second now, because I want to thank them. James and Skip, that's their names, from Patriot Protect. And let me get, where the hell is it all here? Here we go. Allow me to introduce a couple of friends of mine. I must do this. Okay, let's see if they're on the line right now. Hold on. Give me a second. Connecting to the audio. James, you there?
Hey, Frank. How's it going?
It's going well, man. How are you? Skip here as well?
He should be.
Anyway. Skip, is that you? Well, I see him in the room, so maybe his audio is still connected. Okay, so here's what I wanted to do.
You know, the mute button is one heck of a thing.
Oh, there he is.
It's just a little button, but it can take a man down, let me tell you.
and it just has. I want to welcome both of you to the show for this last little segment in the first half. And for everybody at home, James and Skip, they started a business called Patriot Protect. And let me just give you a backstory here. Around September or so, I made contact with these guys. I had been working with them for the last few months. I was doing some Google searches of my name and all the things like that. I just, you know what the hell is the internet really like out there for the average person? I told my friends to go all do it too. And what we were finding was horrific. Absolutely horrific what we were finding. All kinds of addresses from the past, every cell phone number we ever had. So I immediately changed my cell phone number, all that stuff. No clue about what to do about everything else. And then you guys, I crossed paths with you guys. I said, let's get on the phone immediately. You had emailed me. And I said, let's get on the phone immediately. I want to talk to you guys. Because when it comes to living in this world, and especially when it comes to home defense, people think about, ring cams, and they think about having a shotgun and knowing how to use it, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the world that we really spend the most time in these days, unfortunately, it's the digital world. And it's a wilderness out there. And I worked with you and said, hey, how the hell can you guys clear up some of these? There's just pages and pages and pages of redundant information that data obviously has been sold and sold again and resold. Can you explain how the internet became this way, by the way?
Absolutely. And thank goodness. And as you know, and I'll let you, talk about this, but thank goodness that you found us and were able to understand what we have to offer, because every single person that's here, that's live and listening in the chat and all that stuff, if you have not taken active steps to use a service like ours to delete your information off the internet, it is available and searchable to anybody that can pay. Or frankly, everything that's available that you don't even have to pay for. It is published and sold and resold, as you said. Again, I can't stress this enough how crazy it is. This should not be legal. These companies shouldn't be allowed to exist. But we'll talk about that in a second, about how the deep state and the Biden administration have used these. But if you have not taken active steps to use one of these services, data brokers, as they're known, trawls public databases for your information and publishes it, makes it searchable, and makes it available. That means your name, your address, the people that you live with, how old you are, phone numbers you no longer have, degrees, your employer information, criminal records, your family's information, anybody that you live with or have lived with. So and how we describe it is criminals have a treasure map to your home. And it's lovely to have a Ring camera. Of course, we believe in the Second Amendment and home defense. But why give bad people a treasure map to your home in the first place? Make yourself invisible. It's a pillar of safety and privacy, which everybody is overlooking. It's just absolutely crazy to me that people don't take advantage of these sorts of things. And because the reason is, if you were to try to buy your own, take yourself off of these 200 plus sites that collate your information and make it publicly searchable, it would take you on average something like 50 consecutive hours. And if you might work if you're sitting there, with
it's impossible.
It's effectively impossible.
It is.
You can't do it. You can't do it. So we have been privacy advocates for, well over each a decade. And this is an indispensable service if you care at all about your or your family's safety or privacy.
When I reached out to you guys, I had already contacted a company like this in 2021. I had some really weird shit happen to me back then, and then some more weird shit happened in 2023 or something, and not only to me but to other friends as well, where I started putting two and two together that not only were scammers trawling the internet for individuals, that it's really just at random. But the thing is that they can go and, because like you said, most of these sites have all living and deceased relatives there, that it is so easy for somebody to pick a target and then pick somebody else. I told a story of this, it was nuts. About like 4:45 in the morning, getting a call from what was a cloned version of my mother's phone. My mother's number popped up, and when you get a phone call at 4:45 in the morning, nothing good has happened. Nothing good has happened, and it was it took me a couple of minutes to just get the sleep knocked out of my head and realized everybody was safe and everybody was all right. But still, that right there was horrific. And the fact that it was all automated, and I know that I said I had to go out there and just see what the hell's out, and to see this network that could be made, the links between everybody, and I know how easy it is now to get people to pay ransoms for no reason and things like that. And I went to a company in 2021 and I brought them my concerns, because it's one thing just to know that this is the world we live in. It's another thing for especially me doing the work I do. I said, hey, I'd like to know just if there's another level of confidence I can have going out in the world, that it's not everything is out there, or at least it's not too easy. Obviously, if somebody obsesses over you, it's really, really, really hard to keep a proper distance these days. But they were telling me I got quoted $2,700, and I said, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to have to stay screwed, because I don't got that kind of money. And I found you guys, and I mean, the rates were incredible. You're talking about like, what, $9 a month or something? What was it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets down something like less than $5 a month if you do our annual plan.
Dude, I mean, people are getting raked over the coals for essential services that, I don't know. It maybe because you guys have found a way to automate it. I know that some of the technology you're using is proprietary, but can you just go into how exactly it works for everybody out there who wanted to add something like this into their lives?
Yeah, absolutely. Very simply put, each one of these companies, and again, there's hundreds of them, have an option for you to opt out. But in order for you to opt out, you need to enter into their companies all the information that you want to be taken off. And so I don't think I need to explain how difficult that would be and how high the margin for error is with that. Our proprietary software, which we call our search and destroy protocol, automates it using military-grade encryption, so your information is safe with us. It's automated, and we go to each one of these companies and process those opt-out requests on your behalf. Again, if you were to do that you forget it. You'll never get to it. It's functionally impossible for an individual to do it. The kicker with this too, and why we use this as a monthly or an annual membership, is that if you don't, even if you request for them to come off once, they'll return. It's like if anybody's been doing gardening, there's like weeds. You have to periodically weed your garden because they will come back. And so once you start with us, we'll do the initial sweep, that search and destroy protocol that takes your information off. And then we're just constantly trolling, looking for that information about you that pops back up, reprocess that request, and smash it at the source. In a perfect world, we would never have to do this. We would have our liberty and our privacy guaranteed to us, but that's just not the world that we live in. We have to take these measures to protect ourselves.
Yeah, well, as I said before, when I met you guys back in September or whatever the hell it was, I was in real. I needed a service like this badly, and I said, "Hey, how about this?" I threw it your way. I said, "Take my information and run your system and just let it roll for about a month and a half. Let's talk at the end of October." And then let's just see what's going on. And then I would love to just have you on the show and thank you that way. And get get a little of attention your way, because this is something I wanted so badly. And let me just say, everybody, any of these services are going to be, to say that you're not going to be able to wipe your presence off the internet. If you've touched it, there's a residue there, but it is impossible to even do the bare minimum on your own without the help of a company like this, because there are just dozens and dozens of duplicate sites, and there are always new ones popping up. So I just feel like in what is almost like fighting back the tides with your own fists, it makes it so much different. And I saw the first 10 pages of Google and everything else completely dry up when it came over the course of a couple of months. Not perfect, but it just dried up. It was so much better. So yeah, I had to bring you guys on. I was already so appreciative of what you do.
Look, I mean, thank you, firstly. And I also want to address something that Last Mimsy wrote in the chat about the Medicare scam calls that come your way. This solution does a lot for a bunch of different aspects of your life. It makes you a higher cost target to scammers that are trying to call you and catch you in a scam. This is a very important, gift for the elderly people in your life for the holidays, to safeguard and protect them from being susceptible to scams that call them and know information about them, which they get from these data broker sites. If you are having a little trouble with debt collectors, they use these sites to look up your names, your phone numbers. I'm sure there's some people that are nodding along saying like, yeah, I had a $500 medical debt and my mother got a call or something like that. That happens all the time. There's so many benefits to protecting and safeguarding your privacy, and all of these, the insidious nature with which your privacy and your life is breached by this. Something can be done about it, and that's why we're here.
I wanted to add in, Frank, you being a public facing figure, for example, there's more exposure, right? There's more information out there on you. Your face is all over the internet. If we're able to help you, which there was no doubt that it was going to be successful, the tech is legit. We can help everyone. But what I wanted to say, obviously we're here because we'd love to get people signed up. But even if people don't, your audience, your listeners, your viewers are a little bit more attuned to these things than the average American. And I would just say, if you're going to leave, if we get off and we leave you with anything, it is make yourself a harder target. Make yourself more expensive to these companies. There are things you can do that are free. Obviously, all of these social media companies buy and sell data like it's nothing. Think about what you're putting out there and just make yourself Make it not worth it to these companies. That's what I want to leave people with.
Well, it's a great point, because, like, as I said before, I even in talking with you guys, I knew that it's hard to wipe that stain off once you have spent so much time on the internet, especially if you spend so much time on the internet publishing as much as I do. So, and that's the other thing I really enjoyed, is that once I started seeing that more and more of like these redundant white pages kind of bootleg sites that were just hosting all of these names and addresses and voting habits too. They're like, he votes this way, that way. Like, what are you talking? It's crazy. Sites that kind of estimate what kind of income you make and all that shit, which is always bullshit. I always wish I made the money that they say I do, but it's just nonsense. It's really just invasive. And I loved how after the first couple of layers of crap came off the internet, I know that those things, you're always checking on those things, but it revealed secondary and third level layers of stuff that I wanted to get rid of afterwards, that I was able to reach back out to you guys and say, hey, it's looking so good now. Here is an old address from so-and-so that, can you target this address now? Just because whoever the hell lives in this one place, I don't want them to ever, be susceptible to getting calls or whatever the hell it is, or a letter or spam, whatever the hell it is. So it's just almost like when the layers of the onion come off, you start seeing more things that you could add on to your profile, and you guys are very responsive in that way. So I've appreciated that too.
Totally. Google yourself. Everybody should Google themselves and find out what's actually on there. And unless you've used one of these, unless you subscribe to one of these services, you will be mortified.
That's terrible.
You will be mortified.
Yeah, that's awful. It really is. Okay, so I see the block scam calls automatically about Medicare, IRS, financial scam calls, spam. I screwed myself you guys were doing so good for me, and then I signed up to go to the Madison Square Garden rally for Trump.
Yeah.
And then somehow I'm getting I can't even tell you the stuff that was coming in after that point. So it's all died down now, but for a couple of weeks I was getting inundated. But it's been really, really quiet. And okay, so here's what you have set up for everybody. And I love to have you guys back on just to talk the news and to talk cybersecurity and everything else.
Oh yeah, then we can have some real fun.
I know, because I know you guys know what time of day it is, but I wanted to at least get you 15 minutes to thank you before the holidays let out. So Patriot Protect, and quite frankly, I have the link in the description of this episode. It is, you have a Cyber Monday deal for friends of Quite Frankly. You get $10 off a yearly subscription, and as low as $3 per month. What's the details on this for everybody to know?
Yeah, very simply put, if you sign up for our annual plan, you'll get $10 off the total cost. And if you do the math, it goes down to something like $3 a month. It's a no-brainer. Honestly, we should probably charge more now that I'm thinking about it. But it's so important for everybody to be armed with every bit of tools that they can have to protect themselves and their family. It's just it's unconscionable to allow for these companies to have that information out there about you. It's time for people like us to outsmart the scammers, outsmart the people that are trying to target us and take advantage of good, hardworking people. And that's why we're here to bring this message to you guys.
And also, like you said before, not only those who are out there and working their asses off and hoping to get a little bit a piece in the end of the day, but those who are done working, our elderly family members who are very vulnerable to all this stuff that's going on with this new generation of scams. It's the mail was bad enough, but the way that they clone voices and everything else, it's really a nightmare, especially for older people who are still just they don't get where technology is going, and the fact that so much of this stuff is automated. There's probably 10 people getting called at one time, and the same script is getting run. So it's a wonderful thing to give not only to yourself but people you love that don't really pay too much attention about that aspect of home security. And like I said, I have that link in the description of this episode, and you can email me at quitefranklypodcast@gmail.com. If you want the link directly, I'll give it to you. But James and Skip, if there's anything else you want to say, go right ahead. If not, it's really been awesome to have you on, and I'm happy I've been able to thank you in this way.
Yeah, look, it's just a shame that we couldn't do more to make sure that Hunter Biden got his comeuppance, But frankly, it's outside of our purvey, so we'll leave that to people smarter than us.
I know. James, you there?
Yeah, Frank. If we don't speak to you and speak to the audience again before the end of the year, just Merry Christmas. Great talking to you as always.
Oh, absolutely, and we will talk. I'd love to do something a little bit more formal with you guys in 2025, but you do good work, and Merry Christmas to you both, and we'll talk soon.
Pleasure.
All right.
Pleasure. Look forward to it.
Be well, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so there they go, and the link is in the description of the episode. It's right underneath the bio of the whole thing. It's actually right next to, it's the newsletter for December, which is for everybody. It's open. If you've never seen a newsletter before, you got to read it. It's amazing. And then right under that is Patriot Protect. So that was so necessary. And I got quoted at $2,700. I said, oh man, I'm screwed. Because you can't do those websites one by one. You can't do it. It's impossible. Okay, 8:06. You know what? We're going to blow right through. No, we're not. Let's take a really quick intermission. I got to get myself more water. We'll be back in a minute and a half. And it's December, so it's a new group of dancers. I think we got the original Rockettes. BRB.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With
Dare you.
14 will, quote, perpetuate conspiracy theories, end quote. This is the FBI that everybody holds in such high regard. These are the people who have run it. These are the faces. These are the ones, the movers and the shakers over there. Quote, the effect of that very broad 10-year time frame, ironically, it will perpetuate the conspiracy theories and the accusations around Hunter Biden. They'll never be resolved criminally, but it gives his detractors the opportunity to say, oh, well, he must have done something in 2014 to require the pardon going back that far. Guys, this, oh my gosh. Oh, it makes your brain itch. Doesn't it make your brain itch? It's the exact approach to everything from Robert Mueller and his investigation, how it left off with a big, well, he wasn't indicted, he wasn't charged, but it's a big question mark. Big open-ended question mark. Well, he was impeached, but he wasn't removed. So big question. This is what they do. They have the so-called institutions in their firm grasp. They have subpoena power. They have the ability to investigate. They have the media. They can create predicate for literally anything, even if the predicate is really, really shoddy. And they go out there and they just pick through a person's life. And if you resist their molestation in any way, shape, or form, they consider it very odd and very suspicious. Why? Why wouldn't you want us picking through? Well, why wouldn't you want us grabbing your nuts right now? Have you done something wrong? They set up traps, and when they can't manufacture anything, because there's certainly nothing there whenever they target you, then it's just a big question mark. They call you unindicted, an unindicted something or other. And this motherfucker's out there rolling this out, that this is what people, this is proof positive. This is part of the cover-up. So much has been launched to be able to divert attention away from the uniparty operation that was set up out there in Ukraine, and is still probably alive and well in some ways. Maybe there's still some critical infrastructure in that country that remains, but who knows what this war has been really a cover for in other ways over the last couple of years, to clear out some things, to burn some papers, to be able to just, back the hell out a little bit, regroup and find some underground bunker somewhere to set up shop. Really, who knows? But it's just so incredible to hear him say this. Let's listen to him again.
Republicans are really seizing on the time frame here, right? Including the senator-elect from Indiana, Jim Banks, who said Joe Biden issued a pardon to Hunter Biden for any crimes that he might have committed since 2014. Why such a specific year? Well, Hunter Biden just so happened to join the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian energy firm, in that same year, 2014. So corrupt. What do you make of the time frame here?
Well, I mean, my initial impression was this is
he should be penniless and he should be in jail, this guy. But he's on CNN gaslighting 50,000 68-year-old people. 50,000 68 to 83-year-old people. About 50,000 of them. If who's watching CNN at the moment that he was speaking right there could pack out half of Yankee Stadium, I'd be surprised.
President's desire to protect him for the longest period that reflects the president's time of service in the White House. But nevertheless, the effect of that very broad 10-year time frame is, ironically, it will perpetuate the conspiracy theories and the accusations.
Why, though? How would it, what other purpose would it serve? What other purpose would it serve? There's not, you always say you got nothing. These people are the type that the bootlicking type that are always say, hey, listen, if you did nothing wrong, you got nothing to hide. Ridiculous that this is the best he can come up with. It's going to perpetuate the conspiracy theories because he was given a 10-year pardon for crimes that he may or may not have committed against the United States. They have no shame because they have no souls. I saw this one chick. What the hell's her name? Ali Samarco. Ali Samarco. She's a DC 27 years old. Pragmatic Democrat, whatever the fuck that means. Former Republican. That makes sense. She said the Democrats who are mad about Hunter Biden are exactly why we lost the election. They keep trying to play by the rules that don't exist. Did you hear that? So the Democrat voters out there who are mad about the Hunter Biden pardon because of the implications. A, because they probably actually believe, those individuals believe that no one is above the law. Perhaps they don't understand the full scope of the world we live in and where the real crimes are being committed. Maybe they don't want to believe. But as far as this goes, he was convicted. It's all out there. And they just want this low leverage political / public figure to go out there, serve his time, and at least let's keep that kind of feather in our cap so we can say we have some integrity there. Who knows what is motivating somebody to be mad about the Hunter Biden pardon? But the fact that Ali, whoever this bird brain airhead is, what is it? Yeah, she looks like an airhead. Total airhead. Look at that. Look at that moon face. Anyway, the moon face says this is why we lost the election. Oh, yeah. Those Democrats that she's berating, they'll be Republican voters a second time around now too. They keep trying to play by the rules that don't exist. Did you hear that? This single-celled organism thinks that Democrats play by the rules and that this is why they lost their appeal to the average American voter who abandoned them. And by extension, the incoming thought with them is that Trump is punching below the belt, and we need to be able to play dirty now as well. They think they've been playing clean. Do you think they believe that? I don't know. I don't see how they can actually believe that. But I don't know. It must make them feel smart, or I don't know. They need some sort of a theory, a working theory still, because nobody wants to look in the mirror and really understand what's going on and why they lose and why they continue to lose. There you have it. There you have it. Thank you, Jay Britz. Jay Britz says present. Oh, it's good to have you there, my friend. Let's go over to Rumble. Grandma Grateful says happy Monday. That's our one Rumble ranter over there. Thank you so much. Got a lot of people watching on Rumble. Send some rants. Support the show. Those go directly into the production of not only After Hours, but also the newsletter and other things there too. So important. So important. Aside from becoming monthly sponsors. David Sloan over on quitefrankly.tv says much love, fam, and C Blanche sends up a peace sign. That's great. Great to have that. Now, here we have a little something from USA Today. As Trump plans mass deportation, Mexican views of the migration problem harden. Mexican views. Marta Castillo and is angry about immigration. There are too many migrants in her town, she said, and they don't speak the language. We've been invaded, she said, standing outside of her job at a restaurant. I changed my opinion about them because I live in a place where we didn't see any of this, but now everywhere there are people who aren't from here. This is a woman who works and lives in Mexico. Castillo is Mexican. She lives in Mexico. Like a growing number of her fellow citizens, she's become increasingly negative about the migrants who have poured into her community, despite living in a country where millions of people have ties to someone who migrated to the United States. As President-elect Donald Trump prepares to return to the White House, he is demanding Mexico do more to crack down on the tens of thousands of migrants who are in Mexico and heading for the United States border. He may find support in an unlikely corner among Mexicans themselves. I'd have to imagine. These countries are being turned into pass-through points of entry for an incredible operation to destroy the entire hemisphere, to be honest. But then there's this on Tom Homan. This is from Leo Zagami. Tom Homan is now the most feared man in the world by the infamous Jesuit network. Listen to this angle. I can't wait to watch Tom Homan work. In August of 2024, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops issued a rare statement publicly rejecting what they said were false claims regarding Catholic nonprofit organizations being complicit in human trafficking, smuggling, harboring, and child exploitation through the southern border. Early this year, America, the monthly Catholic magazine published by the Jesuits of the United States and headquartered in Midtown Manhattan, claimed that Catholic agencies have found themselves caught in GOP crosshairs because of immigration, adding, quote, in May of 2023, a group of 21 Republican House members co-sponsored legislation aimed squarely at Catholic charities and migrating people. Migrating people. Like they're seagull. Among other provisions meant to beef up enforcement capacity and resume construction of a border wall, the Secure Border Act of 2023 prohibits funding to faith-based organizations and other NGOs like Catholic charities for direct services they provide to migrants. The bill narrowly passed in the GOP-controlled House of Representatives in May, along with a party line vote. It has gone nowhere in the Democrat-controlled Senate. And in a letter to Catholic Charities USA in December 2022, some of the same Republican House members demanded that CCUSA agencies preserve documents suggesting that they would be necessary for a potential House investigation into federal funding for migrant-assisted efforts. Now that the Republican-controlled the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate and the White House after Trump-Vance's landslide victory, things might change. In a recent interview on Fox News, the incoming Trump border czar, Tom Homan, laid out an aggressive and detailed plan to combat the border crisis and restore order after 4 years of disastrous open border policies under the Biden administration. Speaking with former Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway on the Hannity Show, Homan promised to hold foreign governments, NGOs, and even elements of the United States a United Nations accountable for their roles in fueling the migrant surge. This has panicked the Catholic NGOs in the last few months since Homan's nomination. Trump's selection of Homan, 62 years old, for the post was widely expected, but the Jesuits behind Joe Biden's failed policies are suddenly scared of the possible outcome of any future investigation. That would be great. And that's really what I took away from most of my talks with Dilly, too, is that most of the game planning here is about how to draw back and drain the money. How to draw back and drain the money. That there's just so many tens of millions and sometimes billions of dollars that go to individual organizations that are associated with the government, whose only purpose is actually to attack American life and to organize and rabble-rouse on the streets and everything else like that, and that we may see a lot of frantic organization and protests and all that in the first 6 or 7 months of 2025, but after that, there just might not be any real money to keep it going. It might actually quiet down because you can't keep going to, everybody can't go to the same well, especially if the American taxpayers are cut off. Who knows? So who knows? I'd love to see it. Going into 2025, as I said, we're going to have to just call this pitch by pitch because some is going to be good and some is going to be puzzling. Let's see, what else do we have before KrisAnne Hall shows up? I had this here too. Cash Patel. Juanita Broderick put this out not too long ago. Said, "Are you ready, America? Day one will be explosive." This is on December 1st put out there. It's a clip. I guess Cash Patel had an interview with Glenn Beck at some point in the past. I don't know how recently. And here is what he says, what a day one thing would be. And he specifically talks about Jeffrey Epstein.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game. That's why you don't have a Black Book or the manifesto.
But the Black Book, it's not just sitting. I mean, that's Hoover power times 10.
Now, let me ask you something. Do you think that the Black Book even exists anymore, like an actual book? I'm still not really a big believer that there is anything of value left to release on stuff like that. I mean, why would the system keep direct evidence of its greatest crimes on ice, waiting for someone to put in a FOIA request and pull strings on the greatest sweaters you can think of? And I know that Cash is a pretty big proponent of Israel, and we know that Mossad is. I mean, Epstein is largely a Mossad operation. Are we willing to go that deep with it? These are things I wonder. I still love the pick. Better than Chris Ray. Let's take a call. We got KrisAnne Hall on the line with us. She just wrote a wonderful piece for the Quite Frankly Bulletin, the Christmas Bulletin. And now she is hanging out with us here on December 2nd, 2024. And it's going to be a great time with KrisAnne. KrisAnne, are you there?
I am here. Can you see me?
I can. What? This is a different setting.
Yeah, so this is actually the office at my house.
Okay.
Which is slightly discombobulated because my house flooded in Milton.
That's right.
We have a little bit of everything everywhere. And I was trying to find a nice place for the picture where you wouldn't see the tarp hanging.
Listen, this is a really interesting view here.
These are real today, right?
Are you still running the dehumidifiers over and over again, or everything's nice and dry now?
Well, not anymore because we've cut out the walls and all these other things. You know, we had to cut the walls off 4 feet up and pull all the floors up, and we have now replaced the walls. We've replaced most of the floors. I had to replace kitchen cabinet and sink and all kinds of stuff because it came into, sorry about the jostling here, because it came into the kitchen, and but we're doing really well, and we were really, really blessed because we had friends that came out to help us, and we even had some people gifting us some new tile that we didn't have to pay for. I mean, it was very nice. So ceramic tile that kind of looks like, I don't know if you've seen it, looks like floor, like wood floor.
Oh, yeah.
But it's ceramic, porcelain, something like that. So it was really, really nice, and we were really happy about that.
Those are always the unseen silver linings around setbacks and tragedies like that, is that all of a sudden when it's time to just pull together and clean up, you just never know where the help is going to come from, and there's always pleasant surprises, and you get to take account of your blessings at the same time.
Well, and it's amazing because our insurance company refused to pay any of it.
Wow.
And so we were blessed in the fact that we only lost 11 shingles off the roof. So somebody just came in and replaced 11 shingles. And the worst part was, you know, the walls and the floor and the damage that had been done that way. But like I said, the blessing is that we had so many people just come up and help. And our church has been really huge. Our church has been doing hurricane relief all over the country. I mean, we're spread out in North Carolina, all over Florida. We have a permanent station on our church property where we have hurricane relief. We get 100 people a day pull in there, and we have paint and drywall and clothes and toys. You don't realize how important little things are when you have a family and your kids have lost all their toys.
Yeah.
And so it's just a blessing, like you said, to see people pull together and really, really be a part of all of this. And a funny story. I don't want to take too much of your time, but this was a part that really amused me, you know. So my husband, I'm at work and my husband's at the house. He's been laying tile and doing all this work. And he texts me. He texts me. He says, "You'll never guess who just came to our door." And I said, "Who came to our door?" He said, "FEMA came to our door."
Oh.
He said it took everything that I had in my power not to punch them in the face.
I know about you. Get out of here.
He said they came and they knocked on the door, and he just looked at them, and the only thing that he could say without being violent was, "Get the off my property."
Hell yeah. I wish I could have been there for that. I can hear JC just letting it loose.
I know. It's like, oh, I'd give it $1 million to have been there. I said, we need to put a sign on the yard that says, "Hey, FEMA, stay the F off our property."
Stay the hell out. Stay the hell out.
So that people will ask questions. Why do you want FEMA? So then I can go into my constitutional answers and questions then.
It's one of those things. I've made comments like that as well too, and still there's plenty of people who just like, no, I think out of all the things we got to get rid of, FEMA should really stay. Like, why? All we hear when there's some kind of a tragedy is how, I mean, you can tell, especially now with communication and everything now that we have, the way to send money around, people organize themselves spontaneously in really effective, incredible ways. And usually FEMA acts as an unnecessary, hindrance or red tape, and just let people get in there.
And they create a monopoly so people can't help. So charities can't actually help. And most Americans do not realize that FEMA does not provide aid. They provide loans. They do not provide free money. And if they give you a grant, they make you claim it on your taxes. This is not free money. If you get FEMA money and you have insurance money that comes in, FEMA makes you pay them your insurance money. If you get FEMA aid, you have to use FEMA contractors. If you choose a contractor that's not on the FEMA list, then you have to pay them back what they gave you. And it's an entire Ponzi scheme. FEMA is a Ponzi scheme. And people be like, KrisAnne's not telling you the truth. It's grant money. Okay, fine. You come back and tell us even the $750 that Kamala was bragging about giving to the people of North Carolina, they got to claim that on their taxes if they get it.
Wow. $750 to claim that is unreal.
Well, I mean, the IRS makes you claim $600 transactions now, so.
And what is it at that point? The $750, what is that, like triple taxed at that point?
Oh, and that's the whole point, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't think triple taxes even covers the money, you know. I mean, you pay income tax on it. Your boss paid tax on it. You pay income tax on it. Then when you buy something, you pay a tax on it. If you give it to the government, you've paid the tax to give to the government. The government gives to you, makes you tax that money to give them back a portion of the tax dollars they used to give you.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's what the funniest thing about just being employed by the federal government in general. I mean, it's all money that was taken from people's incomes. It's taxed, and then once it's given to a federal employee, it's taxed again. And
well, don't get me started, because federal unions, public unions in the federal government are completely and totally unconstitutional. There should be zero collective bargaining when it comes to tax dollars, because in collective bargaining, what you have is a union collective bargaining with an owner, right? The federal unions are not collective bargaining with the owners. We're the owners. They're collective bargaining with the handlers of our money that have no skin in the game. So it's a complete racket. We are cut out of our own collective bargaining when there's public service unions.
Has anybody reached out to you to be a part of Doge?
Well,
pull strings. There seems to be so many ways that they are trying to encourage the public to throw their hat into the mix if they have policy ideas or whatever. You got to pull all the strings you got and just to say, hey, I'm willing to go.
Okay. So I haven't really talked about this publicly, but I was asked by the Trump transition team to send them my resume. But I haven't heard anything back. I don't know if it's too late to hear anything back. I mean, he's not even inaugurated yet. Who knows? Maybe some of these decisions will happen after January. I don't know. And I'm not even sure, what they would offer me I would want to do. But I felt, I'm not looking for another job. I'm not looking to change jobs. I like where I am. I like being here in Florida. I certainly don't want to move to the demon's den. But I felt really a call of responsibility they invited me to send my resume, and I felt a call of responsibility to send it and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know me, I think that the word patriot has been so abused, overused, and diluted. I don't even like calling myself a patriot anymore. But I love America's liberty, and I have a unique gift, and I'm willing to use it. I just am not quite sure, what that would look like. And I'm not selling my soul to do it, so they'd have to take me as I am.
No, totally. And I think that's a lot of people are going in right now to see just how authentic this desire to really roll back the clock and do things that are going to be beneficial for our future and for the future of our children and all that. So that's really interesting that they asked you. But we'll see what happens. Like you said, it's going to be a long road, even though it's a short term, but it's a long road along the way. I do have some questions though about things that are happening right now. I'd love your ideas on it. The first thing is deportation related. Tom Homan and the deportation and all that stuff. You came on to talk on this show a number of times, specifically about the responsibility of individual states, especially border states, that have what the responsibility they have not only to their own borders, but those southern states that are along the national borders. If the feds are delinquent in their responsibilities to defend the border, what did the states do? But now we have a little bit of a flip of the script that's happening, because liberal mayors and governors are now promising stiff defiance of any attempts to clean out so-called sanctuary zones. And both Tom Homan and his opposition, they're making claims that they both have authority to do what they need to do. Where does the rubber meet the road on this one?
You know, obviously the feds have the authority to deport. That's part of the delegated rules of naturalization. Our governors have the authority to deport as well. And the situation, let me just mention to you, I don't know who dropped this talking point into Trump's vocabulary about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. But it's ridiculous that they dropped him in there. Maybe somebody mentioned it to him and he thought it was really cool because Trump likes the sort of novel, cool things, the shiny things, and he keeps repeating it. The reality is the Aliens Enemy Act of 1798 doesn't apply here, and we don't want it to apply, and I'll explain why. But regardless of whether it applies or not, we don't need it because we have laws that are in place that allow this to happen. But the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 was something that was passed during the John Adams administration, while we were at war, and there was war in Europe, and a condition to invoke the Aliens Enemy Act is there has to be a declaration of war. Now, we have a precedent for using the Aliens Enemy Act. It has been used by several presidents at several times, but each and every time was because we were at war with a declaration of war. So unless they're going to escalate what's happening with Russia to the point where Congress is going to actually declare war, then the Alien Enemy Act of 1798 is not invocable. And we don't want it to be invocable because we don't want to be at war. And like I said, we don't need that act, as cool as it sounds, because we have 8 USC 1624, 8 USC 1324, and 8 USC, sorry.
It's all right. I still hear you, though. So that's good.
Okay. Yeah. 8 USC 1324, 8 USC 1611, which allows the federal government to deport people.
But then again, so when Tom Homan comes face to face with some crackpot in California, who wins that argument? Does Tom have to go packing, or can he go and execute a couple of operations there in Oakland or something?
Well, it's funny you use that word, execute.
I know, maybe a wrong word I should have used.
Well, remember I just quoted some federal acts, 8 USC 1324, 8 USC 1611, makes it a crime for what these governors, these mayors are doing. So what Homan can do through Pam Bondi, if she actually does her job as a U.S. AG, he can go in, he can literally arrest governors and arrest mayors for creating and defying federal law. So I just want to be clear, because a lot of people get confused. I am a vocal advocate for peaceful noncompliance. I've got 2 movies named Noncompliance, which deal with that issue. The reality is, noncompliance is not your choice if you don't like the laws. That's not how noncompliance is lawful and invoked. Noncompliance is invoked when the federal government is doing something, or your state government is doing something contrary to your constitution or without constitutional authorization altogether. That's when you have the right to refuse to comply with the law. We've delegated to the federal government these rules of dealing with who is an alien, who is a citizen, and how these people are allowed to move about the country and participate in the country. And if you refuse to comply, if you harbor an alien, if you hide an alien, if you hire an alien, if you house an alien, if you illegally, mind you, if you encourage aliens to come illegally, those are all federal laws being violated, in which the penalty is 10 years in prison, up to 10 years in prison for each alien.
So I guess it's just a matter of how big his balls are, Tom Homan, because it sounds like he's going to be able to put a couple of mayors in jail if he really wanted to.
Well, I think the bottom line is the buck stops with Pam Bondi if she gets to be AG. She's the one that has to have, the real fortitude, because Homan can do what he wants, but if the Department of Justice and the Attorney General is not going to prosecute, then it's all dog and pony, and you really embolden them when Homan does his job and the DOJ just says, nope, we're not going to prosecute. And then they're like, nah, we're going to do whatever we want. And it really emboldens them to act the way they do. So everybody's got to be on the same page.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And I have a couple more questions I got to get in before we get out of here. But now you just brought me on another, I want to go back to the whole Matt Gaetz situation, because who knows what the hell that was all really about. But when you're talking about same page, I fear, even when I see Kash Patel, I would love to know what the plans really are, because I fear that without recess appointments, Republican traitors are going to continue to throw down with their fellow travelers in the Uniparty, and then firebrand nominees like Matt Gaetz will be replaced by potential wet blanket types like Pam Bondi. And I feel like right now there's absolutely no time for, if there's going to be any success in the Trump administration, there's no time for compromise. And so I don't know. It's just that it's one of those wait and see situations, but unfortunately we can't do much now.
Well, can we just sort of talk about something, this recess appointment? I don't really know why and how it's gotten traction. It's just simply not a legitimate solution. I don't know where the hype is coming from. I don't know where the misinformation is coming from.
I think it mostly stems from the fact that when we do the math, nobody really believes that really bold, effective nominees are going to clear the margin of rhino that they have.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally get that. But recess appointments are not even an option.
How not? How so?
Well, because you're not in recess.
Well, not right now.
Well, when are you going to be at recess?
I thought that was going to be in whatchamacallit. And what were they painting in January at some point? None?
Oh, okay, but recess appointments are very, very specifically regulated, which means once you're out of recess, you have to start going through the process. It's not an open blanket statement that the president gets to use this loophole to put into office whoever he wants, circumventing the power of the states in Article 2 to approve. And it really irritates me that people want to allow the president to do this because they like Trump and they want it to happen. Okay, that's fine. You set this precedent, which is setting a precedent, by the way, because all other recess appointments have happened in specific situations with specific circumstances, not this. You set this precedent, then you are guaranteed in 4 years, if not 4 years, a minimum of 8 years, you're going to have a Democrat president who's going to do the exact same thing.
I think most people think that, well, I think if there's a Democrat for president, they're going to have no problem passing whoever the hell they want because they're going to have most Republicans voting with them and their own party. I think people are just thinking about.
You're making an excuse to expand power of the president beyond constitutional authority. You're making an argument to circumvent the essential check and balance of the Senate by authorizing the president to have an autonomous power he was never supposed to have. That's not the purpose of a recess appointment. A recess appointment is supposed to be for emergency situations, not so the president can assume an autonomous power he's not supposed to have. And a president with an autonomous power like that really negates the entire purpose of the president as a representative of the states, because you lose the representation of the states. It would be the exact same thing as Congress making laws without the House of Representatives, because you would lose the consent of the people. It's legislation without representation. It is the thing that our founders went to revolution over, and you're talking about putting the nail in the coffin to completely murder state sovereignty.
Well, I mean, I can keep throwing my opinions out there, but we don't have the time. This is a very lively subject, no doubt about it.
Well, you have to be careful about circumventing protections that are in the place of the Constitution to do good, because the sword you put in the hand of government to protect you will be the sword that cuts you down.
That I think we could all agree on. I think we're just, yeah. We can all agree on that one. And I would like to bring this one back up again when we have just a little bit more time. Oh, look at that pooch. But let me ask you this now. Now on to pardons, because we talked about presidential pardons and the feds and what they can and cannot do. Can you just briefly comment on this pardoning a person over a period of a decade and covering things that they may or may not have committed over the course of that time without any specificity? Where the hell does this vague nonsense hold any legal? Is that's something you can really do as president? Say no matter what they've done, what may be unearthed over the course of 10 years, may or may not have, they are absolved of any. Yeah. You really?
Well, so let's be clear about what a pardon does. Okay, a pardon does not expunge records, does not eliminate a conviction. Okay, what a pardon does is simply removes some of the penalties and restores rights. So a pardon is not an expungement of a record. It doesn't get rid of a conviction the way people actually think it does. It only covers federal crimes, and it's a restoration of rights. It's not an elimination. And when you have a pardon for crimes that have not been tried, a pardon doesn't actually even preclude being tried for those crimes. So it's what we're used to is when a president issues a pardon, the Department of Justice, out of respect for that pardon, will drop charges or commute sentences or things like that. In this case, we're watching the Department of Justice refusing to do that. I don't know if you've seen the headlines later. The Department of Justice is refusing to recognize the pardon.
I didn't see this.
Yeah. So they have made the statement they are going to fight this. They're not going to recognize this, which is an essential check and balance of the on the power of the president, right? So out of respect for a pardon, more has been done than is required to be done. But a pardon is not the same as expunging a crime or expunging a record. It usually results in that out of respect, but this check and balance that we're watching play out, or could just be, talk. Because remember, you got people in the Department of Justice that are desperately trying to keep their jobs.
Yeah, I know, but I think just for the average person reading that statement and being given that January 1st, 2014 to the present day seems it almost seems like cartoonish.
Oh no. And I'm not trying to diminish the atrocity. I don't even know the word to say of what's of the nepotism that's happening there. I mean, this is obviously from an administration who said, no, we won't pardon and nobody's above the law. I mean, it's absolutely, hypocrisy is such an understatement. I don't even know if the English language has the appropriate word for it. I don't.
Yeah, I know. So I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting to watch this play out. And it's also going to be very interesting to know whether the DOJ is really going to exercise this tax check and balance that they have on an unreasonable act of the president. I think, as I mentioned, the consolation is it really doesn't do anything. It doesn't offer him any immunity. A lot of people are like, immunity. No, it doesn't offer him an immunity for anything. It doesn't change anything about due process.
Okay, because that's what it seems like. At least that's how everybody is reporting on it. That this pardon.
That's the way we usually handle it, right? So when a president issues a pardon, then the Department of Justice backs off.
But they're not backing off, so that's the big thing. Now, is there any way?
Currently,
any way that they can kind of like shuffle their feet so that this can be unresolved until January 21st, and then it could just be in Trump's hands as to whether or not the DOJ is going to be able to, or is that always going to be does Trump get to have to, like, does Pam Bondi have to recuse herself from this, or what?
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting turn of events. I don't know that I have the answer for that right now. What would happen if they sort of just kick the can until after the administration changes?
To kind of give it, to leave that political hot potato in the Trump administration. Are you going to allow this pardon to go on, or are you going to go to war and throw him in jail? Because then he looks like Scrooge McDuck, and I don't know. It'd be interesting, but these are the little tiny questions that pop up along the way. Now, I had one more topic for you, but it's 8:55, and I got to be on the road in a couple of minutes now, so I can't bring it up. No, it's all right.
I ranted too long about the.
No, it's just too much. It's just these things they're big topics. I wanted to ask you about birthright citizenship because that is going to be coming up. It's a part of the whole deportation thing. What does that mean?
That's my symbol for opening the can of worms.
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's why I'm saying we have to talk about birthright citizenship because aside from the deportation stuff that's going on, it's also being reported that whatever the Trump administration is going to be doing in that arena is going to prompt an opinion from the Supreme Court. And so next time you come back, which has got to be soon, and we can talk about birthright citizenship because I want to get wise to all that.
Yeah, and hopefully by that time I won't have all the problems. I apologize for technical difficulties and my dog jumping in the middle.
This was fine. Honestly, this is fine. Everything came through all right. We lost you visually a couple of times, but we never lost you audio. And I really appreciate you, KrisAnne. I got your URL in the description of the episode, but do you have anything special coming up soon?
No, I mean, we're pretty quiet through the holidays. I'm going to be in Maryland. But that's not something that's open to the public. It's kind of interesting, though. I've had a sheriff, I'm not going to say who, in Maryland invite me out to do my sheriff training for him and his entire staff in Maryland.
Wow.
Which is a pretty big deal. You know, we don't often get invited to do sheriff training in that part of the country. So,
Are they sheriff? Is this a sheriff from a blue district?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't look at politics, you know, when I'm given those kind of opportunities. It's just the sheriff, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, but that would be an interesting barometer, something I would just take note of, just to see where the interest is growing and how more wide a net is being cast on this. That's just something I would take interest in, not from any other reason other than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So. No, I now you've got me curious. I think I want to go look, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
very interesting.
Either way, KrisAnne Hall. I hope everybody gets to KrisAnneHall.com, and I got to get at least a Christmas call from you before we depart for the holiday. It's always good.
Yeah, you've got my article in your newsletter.
The article is gorgeous. I'm going to put it up on screen in just a second here. It's out there, and maybe we'll even read it. Maybe we'll even read it on air. How wonderful would that be? But
that would be awesome. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I were to give you one of my Liberty Attic T-shirts, would you wear it on the air?
Is it like pink or something like that?
Oh, it's black. You've seen my Liberty Attics. It's the one in the movie.
Okay, so then why? Yeah, of course I would. I'd put it into my rotation.
Okay.
Please, by all means. I didn't know if it was like a trick. What's the trick question here? Would you wear it? Like you wanted to get a commitment from me. I haven't seen.
Well, you're a pretty big deal in my eyes, and I'd be really honored if you wore my T-shirt.
Well,
so
as long
I didn't want to pull any strings or
No, as long as you're not pranking me, then yes, I'll wear it.
No, I don't do. I always tell my students I don't do trick questions. So
okay, well, yeah, I can't wait to get it, and we'll talk after the show. And thank you for making time tonight. I know this was last minute, but I have burning questions, and you're always at the top of the call list for me. So thank you.
Yeah, I try to do better next time with my text stuff, and
you did great, and I'm glad that you guys are recovering nicely. And send my best to JC.
I sure will. Love you guys.
All right. Love you too. Be well. There it goes. KrisAnne Hall, KrisAnneHall.com. And what she's talking about, look at this wonderful thing here. This is the Quite Frankly Bulletin. I pinned it to the top of the YouTube chat, but I sent it out everywhere. And I'll be sharing it again and again over the course of the next couple of weeks because as long as you read it before Christmas, it's all very relevant and very timely. This right here up front, Frank's 2024 year-end review. I wrote that article. I think you'll really like it. You get a little bit of a taste of Christmas with Lauren's sisters. So you got a couple of recipes there from my sisters-in-law. Then you get the Jingle Juice cocktail. Now this one right here, it's A Wonderfully Designed Life by Krista Roman, producer of the show, editor-in-chief of the bulletin itself. She was able to interview my father. You get to read the full story here. It's beautiful. You just see, that's my father outside of my grandmother's house in 1994, the year that he turned the entire front yard into the scene of the nativity. And then, of course, all the work that he's done at decorating the Lyndhurst mansion in Tarrytown. Look at that, inside the Lyndhurst. This is just an ancient mansion. That's the life-size camel at the Nativity. That was when he turned the front yard into the 1950s drive-in diner. Oh, it was good. This was Tavern on the Green. That's a full-size horse. Someone stole that horse right out of the front yard and threw it onto another person's property a couple of blocks away. We found it, became the horse that my father put the headless horseman on for Halloween. There's so much. And then he turned the entire front yard into Bedford Falls. It's a Wonderful Life. There's martinis in the corner over there. Oh, growing up around this was really something else. There's me and Anthony in a gondola when he turned the front yard into Venice. It was Christmas in Venice. There we are. Buon Natale. Yeah, it's good times. There is so much in this wonderful, wonderful bulletin. Read it, the whole thing. We even have celestial calendars in there. Everything else. There's an advent calendar. There's free artwork that was put together by AK in the Gilded chat room for all of you guys. We just want to add a little bit of cheer and all that, and really thinking about it. Going into 2025 with this becoming just a public thing, just putting it out there for everybody, because the quality of work is so high. I just want as many people to see it as possible. So enjoy that. And of course, KrisAnne Hall is in there with a really wonderful piece that you got to go check out. A lot of 12 interesting facts. The time for grateful here. Here's KrisAnne Hall's right here. A time for gratitude and hope, honoring liberty and pressing onward. This is a little bit of a primer for the holidays, but part 2 is going to come out in January, where it's all centered about getting back to work and there's the family. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Look at my beauties. Oh my gosh. There's just so much. There's Aurora making ornaments. Oh man. So much we've given. And another reason why I say, if you love the show, please sponsor it. Go to quitefrankly.tv, the sponsor section, sponsor us, and we're going to send you those nickels and everything else. This is what your support is creating. We're able to do that. There's other things that we're doing here too. We have the after hours that's going live tonight that I think you're all going to really appreciate. The after hours for this evening that starts as soon as this show ends in a couple of moments is as follows. We have Pre-Modernist, the election of George Washington was weirder than you think. Then Dinesh D'Souza, vindicating Trump. That is like a follow-up to, I think, like the 2000 Mules thing. I forgot. It's on YouTube. Someone suggested it to us, so we threw it in for tonight. And then we have Santa Claus is Coming to Town from 1970. And then with an Art Bell kicker, as per usual, with Warren Fadley. That's Storm Chasing. Okay? Awesome. QuiteFrankly.tv. That starts momentarily. So I hope you guys really, really enjoy the evening. Valsky says, I think Hunter needs his own security team. Dead men tell no tales or truths. Jay Semo says, great show to start off the week, and thank you. Thank you, Jay. That's all I got for you. Oh, I'm sorry. CB Joey says, I'm about 30 minutes behind. That Walker Texas Ranger AIDS bumper is perfect. Yes. Much love, fam, says David Sloan. Yes, thank you all so much. Paulie9363 says, Trump is warning Europe not to join BRICS. Is that what he's warning? He's warning Europe not to join BRICS? Okay, well, I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. Anyhow, thank you, Stacks. Thank you, Braves Piano, Scott, everybody else. You've been wonderful to me. I'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be a good one, as usual. Where the hell is everything? Here it is.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Will you shut up?